Tell your children and husband you love them and say your goodbyes, said the doctor. You will be in a diabetic coma very soon, and I don't know what will happen next. Terrified and barely conscious, my wife looked over at our 2 kids standing outside as he showed us the test results. A normal blood sugar reading was 120. Hers was 488. I stared in horror. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My wife Kathy sobbed uncontrollably, struggling to catch each precious breath. It had only been 5 years since her diabetic symptoms began, and there it was, the cold hard truth staring us in the face. My badass wife, the boss of our family, a proud lady who would shut up anyone brave enough to give her lip, trembling, cold, and white as a sheet. Please, isn't there anything you can do? I begged Dr. Grayson, who stood there motionless, glancing at the clock as if I was wasting his time. We are trying to lower her blood sugar, he said, but it's likely too late. The medications don't seem to be working as well as we'd hoped. I'll be honest, I've not seen it this bad before. And then he hit us with it. The deterioration is so rapid that I'd be lying if I promised you any improvement. I'm sorry to say this, Kathy, but you may only have half an hour before slipping into a coma. Half an hour? 30 short minutes. That was all he was giving my dear wife Kathy before she would fall into unconsciousness. I could see the fear in Kathy's eyes. 48 years of her life, all her precious memories, soon to be lost in the abyss. Her mind close to shutting down, trapped in her own body, with the very real chance she may never wake up. Thoughts raced through her mind, no longer being able to see the beautiful smiles on her children's and grandchildren's faces, not seeing them grow up or getting married, not being there to support her children and husband, or growing old together as we'd always imagined. As she lay in the cold steel hospital bed, contemplating the most depressing future she could imagine, I felt ashamed. Ashamed that I hadn't done anything sooner when I knew her blood sugar was getting out of control. Embarrassed because I believed the doctors when they told us the medication would work. Fear of never hearing Kathy's voice again, or holding her in my arms, and having to go on with my life without her if she didn't wake up. Anger at God for inflicting this pain and misery on such a beautiful, caring, loving woman. How would I tell our kids, our grandkids, that their mom or grandma may never wake up? I prayed to God to wake me from this nightmare, but it was real, it was happening. The thought of Kathy motionless in a coma broke my heart. She was my rock. But in the next 30 minutes, I could lose her forever. So why do I share this story with you? Well, these were some of the most painful moments of my life, but it forced me to go on a journey that changed everything in my life and the life of thousands of men and women around the world. Where would I uncover the real cause of type 2 diabetes, a truth unknown to the diabetes industry, whose entire business relies on you taking more and more medications? You see, despite what you've been told, your uncontrolled blood sugar and increasing belly fat has nothing to do with how many sugars or carbohydrates you eat, how much exercise you do, what medications you take, or even genetics or the aging process. But it is instead all down to a little known but highly dangerous toxin found on every corner of Earth, which is ruthlessly invading the cells of every diabetic, pre-diabetic, even those who struggle with weight loss. And according to a hidden but groundbreaking new 2018 study by a team from Washington University School of Medicine and published in the Lancet Planetary Health, is the real cause of type 2 diabetes, including all 3.2 million new diabetics in 2017. But there is an answer. By using a simple 60-second habit twice a day, known only to the inhabitants of a small, barely populated Aegean island, 4,800 miles from home, you can flush out this dangerous toxin from your body and reverse and repair any damage it has caused. A discovery that not only saved my wife Kathy from a second certainly fatal ketoacidosis coma, but in just over 3 weeks reversed every single symptom of her type 2 diabetes. Her blood sugar going from a dangerous 488 to a stable and healthy 125. No matter what she ate, drank, her diabetes meds, test strips, and glucose readers tossed in the trash. The debilitating stabbing nerve pain in her feet and legs vanished. And even better, suddenly losing 56 pounds of deadly belly fat. Going from this to a slim and sexy 160 pounds, saving her from the fatal effects of heart disease and restoring the youthful energy, sex drive, and vigor that was believed to be lost forever, leaving Dr. Grayson speechless and every diabetic desperate to know her secret. Best of all, she was able to do it without restricting her diet, without any pricey or dangerous supplements, without a single second of exercise or special equipment, without popping a single tablet or pill, or stabbing herself with another insulin needle. Instead, all she did was a simple and easy 60-second habit twice a day, a 100% safe and natural ritual using inexpensive and easily found ingredients picked up from our local grocery store. The near miraculous type 2 diabetes reversing habit I stumbled on that literally saved my wife's life and gave her back her lean, sexy, and pain-free body is something too important to hide, and until now has been the problem. This simple 60-second habit has been right under our noses, as it has been kept from us by the folks we trust to make us better. But not anymore, because in the next 3.5 minutes, I'm going to share with you why everything you thought you knew about diabetes, how to treat it, is flat out wrong. You are going to be filled with disgust when you hear a big pharma insider break his code of silence and reveal the 3 biggest diabetes lies touted by doctors around the world. I will reveal the identity of the deadly toxin, the real cause of type 2 diabetes, and the clinically proven ancient 60-second habit that you can do tonight to flush this toxin out, which will, while you're sleeping, start normalizing your blood sugar, reversing your diabetes, slashing your risk of heart attack, amputation, blindness, and burning away stubborn fat. Plus, all the peer-reviewed studies that prove how this works. I'll even share with you the little-known warning signs which show a diabetic coma is imminent, something I'd wish I'd known before that night with Kathy. The truth is, you and your doctor simply do not know about this simple, all-natural, and unconventional breakthrough. This incredible twice-daily 60-second habit is so effective that in just over 3 weeks has reversed the type 2 diabetes in 33,405 people, and this number is steadily increasing. Meaning, every day, my inbox is full of new success stories from people who have had amazing results. And just as I can promise the sun will rise tomorrow morning, so can I promise this will work for you too. Whether you're male or female, 18 or 80 years old, whether you've tried every single diet, medication, and treatment out there, if you're already diabetic, pre-diabetic, and have been 10 minutes or 10 years or just worried about your increasing waist size and uncontrolled blood sugar, and want to effortlessly lose weight and take back control over your health, you may be feeling skeptical, but listen carefully. Put your phone on silent and take detailed notes, as I promise you that this can be a reality for you very soon. But before I reveal any more, it's absolutely crucial that you keep watching until the very end, while you still have the chance, because I honestly don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to keep this presentation online. In the US alone, Americans pay an average of $327 billion, that's billion with a B, each year for diabetes medication, insulin, and care. And Big Pharma are scared because what I'm about to reveal could destroy their business model overnight. The very same cash cow that will never reverse your diabetes, but keep you as a customer for life. The last thing they want is for you to see what I'm about to show you. This information could save your life or the life of someone you love. So listen up, because we don't have much time. Today, I'm offering you the chance to reverse your diabetes, to never worry about slipping into a fatal coma, or diabetic complications like amputations, vision loss, hypertension, to never worry about being a burden to your family financially, physically, or emotionally, to never worry about your ever-expanding waistline, or what your partner really thinks about it but is too scared to tell you. You'll never again worry about insulin shots, medications, or whether you took your meds or if you took too much, to be free of the guilt about shame about having diabetes, as well as being free from what others think about what you eat. Instead, you eat what you want, when you want. You naturally control your blood sugar the way nature intended. You shed pounds of pure fat like clockwork from your belly, arms, hips, waist, and face. You restore your energy, vitality, elasticity of your skin and joints, and turbo boost your sex drive, and you feel younger, healthier, happier, and more energetic than you have in years, even decades. It's time to free yourself from the prison of diabetes once and for all. Does that sound good to you? Then stay right where you are for just a couple more minutes and listen to every single word of this presentation, because I promise you can reverse your type 2 diabetes with nothing more than these delicious dressings from your lunch and dinner. Yes, it is really that easy. But of course, I don't want you to simply take my word for it. Elizabeth Rolfe, a 56-year-old nurse from Redmond, Washington, was already a type 2 diabetic and was terrified her condition was becoming worse, and she'd have to live a life of painful insulin shots. Skeptical, she'd have decided to try out this trick for herself. Within just 27 days, her blood sugar was back to normal, that of a non-diabetic, leaving her doctor stunned. Plus, she boosted her energy and lost over 17 pounds of stubborn fat in the process, going from this to this. I'm so glad I tried this secret. It's been a life changer for me, and my husband is loving my new body, she said. John Prince from Concord, California, is a 66-year-old retired architect. He thought he knew everything about diabetes until he saw this protocol. I was so scared of losing my vision. My mother went blind from diabetes, he said. And since adding these dressings to his lunch and dinner, he was now taking back control over his blood sugar, all while eating whatever he wants. He lost 21 pounds and gone from this to this. For the first time in 15 years, I am type 2 diabetes free. Thank you so much, he said. Okay, in just a few minutes from now, I'm going to reveal the real hidden cause of your uncontrolled blood sugar diabetes and weight gain, and show you the scientific evidence that proves beyond all doubt that your diabetes can be reversed simply by adding these 2 simple dressings to your current diet. But first, it's time I introduce myself properly. Hello, my name is Eric Whitfield. I'm an iron worker. My wife Kathy and I live in Owego, New York, and I'm 53 years old. We have a son and daughter and 3 awesome grandkids and another one on the way. I've been a hardworking guy all my life, scaling skyscrapers and even done some ship fitting in my day. Believe it or not, I was even part of the cleanup crew sent to the ground zero after 9/11. With the exception of hearing Kathy was minutes away from a potentially fatal coma at that time, I spent at the remains of the World Trade Center was the hardest thing I'd ever done in my life. Words are just so inadequate to try and share with you what I saw and felt during those long, awful days. You really understand what it means to come under attack. And do you know something? That's happening to our bodies each and every day. We're all under vicious attack from an enemy that cares nothing for us. That's forcing diabetes upon us, each and every person on earth, no matter their age, race, or situation. Fortunately for you, a bizarre chain of events handed me the weapon I needed to defeat this invisible diabetes causing toxin for good and save my wife's life. And it will do the same for you too. So how did I do it? Well, right now I have a very personal and embarrassing story to tell you, which begins almost 5 years ago. Up until then, frankly, my ignorance about diabetes could have filled Yankee Stadium. We were your average, happily married 40-somethings, enjoying life, and like the majority of people, taking our health for granted pretty much every day. I'm just a metal junkie. What did I know about diabetes? I was hardly ever sick a day in my life. Kathy began to complain more often about low energy and dizziness, until one cold January morning when we received the news that would change our lives forever. My wife was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Kathy was shocked. We all were. I mean, she was barely over 40 years old at the time. She'd been an all-star track athlete in her teens, an athlete her whole life. It was one of the things that made me fall in love with her. Straight away, the doctor put her on the medication metformin to regulate her blood glucose levels, and although we didn't realize it at the time, this moment would mark the beginning of a 5-year nightmare. It didn't take long for the side effects to kick in. Weakness, muscle pains, abdominal pains, heartburn, bloating, you name it. She had it. But still, we trusted the doctors and continued to let the medication help her. As the years rolled by, Kathy's energy levels, vitality, mood, and general health and well-being went rapidly downhill. And although her medication was supposed to help, she piled on more and more weight as she found herself unable to fight the intense cravings for sugary and starchy foods that overpowered her every day. She went from the energetic motivator to sluggish and overweight. And the more weight she put on, the more depressed she became, and the further away she drifted from the woman I'd fallen in love with. And if that was bad, things were about to get a whole lot worse. Just over a year ago, Kathy was diagnosed with high blood pressure and high cholesterol too, and she began to suffer from sharp, stabbing pains in her left leg and foot. She was told that she had nerve damage and was prescribed more meds to deal with that, which created a whole bunch of side effects that left her feeling sick and even more depressed. Before long, she found herself in so much pain because of the nerve damage that she could barely walk or even stand for longer than a few minutes. And because she wasn't able to get out of the house and do any kind of exercise, the weight just piled on, which put added pressure on her heart and other organs. She was stuck on the medication merry-go-round with no escape. Within the space of just 4 years, Kathy's weight had ballooned from a relatively healthy 160 pounds to a massive 216. And her blood sugar levels were becoming dangerously high. Kathy told me she feared the worst. We tried everything to help her get back her independence and health. Exercise, restrictive, boring, tasteless diets, plant-based diets. I even tried to get her to do the high-intensity exercise, but it was just too painful for her. We even tried the impossible 600-calorie-a-day diet that left her feeling weak and tired. In fact, after every single miracle diet, she ended up weighing more than when she started. Weight loss surgery was out of the question as her weight wasn't high enough. And even then, it didn't feel right when her weight gain wasn't what caused the diabetes. The diabetes has caused her weight gain. On top of it all, our sex life had completely gone. We found ourselves slipping into a long, boring routine of going to work, watching TV, and going to bed while feeling constantly tired, depressed, unhappy, and dissatisfied. "Don't touch me. I'm fat and disgusting, and I'm always going to be fat and disgusting. I don't want you to touch me," she yelled. When I reached out to hold her, to kiss her, to show her how much I loved her no matter what she looked like, seeing her laying there in pain, grabbing her belly fat, she hated so much. I felt powerless and weak in every way I could never thought I could. She was my wife. I promised to take care of her, but I couldn't. It was the day after that when she collapsed at home while walking to the kitchen. I heard a loud bang and found her on the floor, her head heavily bleeding from the impact of the fall. Her breathing was erratic and shallow. I called an ambulance, who rushed her to the hospital. In the ambulance, she came to, but was barely conscious and confused. Once we reached the hospital, the doctor explained that she had suffered from severe ketoacidosis, that her blood sugar levels were too high, and she was minutes away from coma or death. She was showing all the warning signs such as frequent urination, thirst, fatigue, and shortness of breath, but I just didn't know about them at the time. Her blood sugar was over 480, a potentially fatal level. As I sat there beside her hospital bed, holding her hand in mine, I made a promise to myself. If Kathy survived, I was going to do everything in my power to defeat her diabetes for good, whatever it took. There was no way I was going to let my kids grow up without their mom, or grandkids without their grandma, and I knew I wouldn't be able to cope without her by my side. I was going to fix her, and I was going to do it without drugs. After all, the reason for most of her health problems over those 5 years had been because of the drugs she'd been taking, because that's when her health really began to worsen. I knew that if I didn't act soon, the same thing could happen again, and I wasn't going to run that risk. Thankfully, Kathy survived her severe ketoacidosis, and the blood sugar lowering medications they gave took hold just as she was slipping away. She was feeling very sick and tired, but was conscious and alive. She'd been lucky. She stayed in the hospital that night, so beside her, I powered up my laptop when she'd gone to sleep and began my quest. First, I started with diabetes. It's well known that diabetes is caused by something called insulin resistance. This is when the cells in your muscles and organs start resisting or ignoring the signal that insulin is trying to give them, which is to take the blood sugar, also known as glucose, from the bloodstream and deposit it in the cells. It is this glucose that cells use as energy from the food we eat. Over time, as insulin resistance develops, your body fights back more by producing more insulin. The beta cells in your pancreas that are working so hard to make insulin get worn out and can no longer keep up with the demand for more and more insulin. Then, after insulin resistance silently begins, your blood sugar will rise and you will develop prediabetes or even type 2 diabetes. You may also develop non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, a growing problem associated with insulin resistance that boosts your risk for liver damage and heart disease. Take a look at this image. I'm sure this cycle sounds very familiar. You eat your food. That's at the top there. Your pancreas makes insulin to take the glucose out of your bloodstream, so the cells can use it as fuel for energy. However, your cells resist the insulin, and in turn, you store these sugars as fat, causing tiredness and hunger. And hunger means more food, and the cycle starts all over again. This is the exact cycle that Kathy had been in for years, and the exact cycle you and any diabetic are in right now. And what causes insulin resistance? Well, I couldn't find a single precise and definite answer on why it happens in the first place, and why this has started only in the past 60 years. See this graph? Diabetes barely existed in the 1940s. Dr. Grayson himself stated that the medical industry isn't exactly sure where insulin resistance comes from, only why it is bad for us, and that it is increasing at a rapid rate. In fact, a recent report published by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention predicts that nearly 1/3 of all American adults will be diabetic by 2050 if things don't change. You may be saying it's because we're getting fatter, right? But we've had overweight men and women for centuries, all the way back to the Mayans. And there's always been a surplus of food, at times for every civilization. Remember that cycle of insulin resistance? The belly fat comes after insulin resistance, not before. And for Kathy, her dramatic weight gain started only after she started showing diabetic symptoms. So, if weight gain was simply a symptom of insulin resistance, what was the cause? How did you or Kathy get insulin resistance before all the symptoms began? For weeks, I scoured the internet, visited libraries, and read through hundreds of dusty old medical journals. I visited universities, spoke to doctors, endocrinologists, alternative therapists, and even Chinese herb doctors for help. But I found nothing new. Just the same old tired advice of exercise more, eat less sugar and fewer carbs, and take your meds like a good little diabetic. Advice that you or any other diabetic listening to my story today has heard a million times before. I felt like I'd hit a brick wall, and after weeks of research, I was nowhere. I'd left online posts on forums and message boards requesting any information that could help Kathy. I got a reply from a man we will call Kevin, who has chosen to remain anonymous to protect his identity. He had a real dislike for the diabetes industry and has been working for the large pharmaceutical company for 10 years before recently being fired for voicing his concerns. Over a call, he revealed to me the 3 closely guarded and biggest lies of the diabetic industry. And anyone who dared utter them in public will be fired and have cease and desist orders against them. It was because, in his own words, the whole industry was a giant and deliberate fraud, which makes billions every year, not by helping to improve your diabetes, but by actively making it worse. As Kevin explained, from the moment you notice a problem with your weight, your blood sugar, or energy levels, you are encouraged to see a doctor who recommends that you start taking medications to correct your blood sugar, most likely metformin. Sounds familiar, right? But the big problem here is that from this moment on, your blood sugar and health is destined to only get worse, not better. After all, when was the last time you went to a doctor and your doctor lowered your dosage or suggest you come off your meds? Never happened, right? And this is the big diabetes lie number 1. Lowering blood sugar will reverse diabetes. The truth is, high blood sugar does not cause diabetes. It is a symptom of it. Diabetes drugs may help to lower your blood sugar, but eventually these drugs lose their effectiveness. As a result, your doctor has to increase the dosage and or add an additional drug until one day your doctor tells you that you have to go on injectable insulin. And soon, more and more insulin injections. Why? Because the cause of the disease has not been addressed. The disease is progressing as if you were taking no medication at all. The same way you wouldn't treat an open wound with painkillers, you should not attempt to reverse diabetes with medications that lower blood sugar. Medications are simply a band-aid for a symptom of diabetes, nothing more. Worse still, these drugs have been proven to cause kidney failure, liver failure, heart attacks, cancers, and strokes. To really reverse diabetes, you have to go after the root cause, insulin resistance, not just treat the symptoms and live as a continual victim of this disease. That's why these drugs are such a cash cow for Big Pharma, because you are still trapped in the insulin resistance cycle. Drug companies make the most profit by having people completely dependent on their medications for life, buying new prescriptions, refills month after month. According to a recent study published in the journal Pharmacoeconomics, a person with type 2 diabetes will spend an average of just $230,000 to treat the disease over their lifetime. And that's just one person. It's big business, and a business they will fight to protect, because their business model will be destroyed if the world finds out that they can lower their blood sugar and reverse their type 2 diabetes naturally, without drugs. Next, Kevin revealed big diabetes lie number 2. This one shocked me. Exercise helps reverse diabetes. For many years, we've been under the impression that exercise is useful for every person with diabetes. However, in a new study by the Sanford Burnham Medical Research Institute in Orlando and published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism, examined clinical trials that looked at the effects of exercise among people with type 2 diabetes. Their analysis revealed that in 20% of people with type 2 diabetes, exercise did not lead to improvement in blood sugar control, insulin sensitivity, or their body's ability to burn fat. The study suggests that this resistance to exercise among people with type 2 diabetes is genetic and can be handed down through generations. In essence, if you have tried exercising and had no improvement in your diabetes or fat loss, it's likely that you are one of those people who are resistant to exercise, and it will do nothing to help your diabetes. And even if you exercise could work for you, it still only mimics the effects of diabetes medications by lowering blood sugar but not addressing the root cause, the insulin resistance. And with that, Kevin revealed the big diabetes lie number 3. Carbohydrates are your enemy. Why is it that all diabetics now fear carbohydrates? Why are low-carb, high-fat diets seen as a healthy alternative? It is far from the truth. In 1935, Dr. Rabinovich did a little-known research study on the subject of high-fat diets and diabetes, a disease largely unknown at this time. He writes, "Suffice it to say that it now appears to be fairly well established that carbohydrates improve, whereas fats impair carbohydrate tolerance, and that carbohydrates increase, whereas fats decrease the sensitivity of the individual, animal, and man to insulin." 20 years later, in the 1950s, another doctor, Dr. Walter Kempner at Duke University, did an incredible study. He demonstrated that it was not high carbohydrates, but in fact, high-fat diets that were causing insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. He even showed that a diet composed of rice and fruit, simple low-fat, high-sugar, and carbohydrate foods actually had no negative effect on insulin resistance at all, and actually improved it. Conventional thought about diabetes states that foods high in carbohydrate will exacerbate diabetes and increase the requirements for insulin and medication. This is the cornerstone of the Atkins diet, the South Beach diet, the Zone diet, and the Paleo Revolution. Central to each of these diets is a reduction in carbohydrate intake for the explicit purpose of reducing the need for insulin, which in turn reduces the severity of diabetes and leads to significant weight loss. So, by this low carbohydrate rationale, Dr. Kempner's rice fruit diet should have resulted in metabolic disaster for his patients living with type 2 diabetes. The rice fruit diet should have increased his patients' insulin requirements, caused unwanted weight gain, and exacerbated cardiovascular disease. In fact, it was quite the opposite. The increased carbohydrates had, in fact, improved insulin's resistance. Dr. Kempner was one of the first physicians to prove that carbohydrates are not the enemy. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, but Kevin was absolutely right. So if you thought your bad diet caused your diabetes, if you thought too much carbohydrate or sugar caused it, or that you didn't exercise enough, think again. They had no factor in why you have diabetes today. They are not the true cause of insulin resistance. I know this because in just 1 minute, I will reveal to you the real little-known cause of insulin resistance as proven by numerous clinical studies, a dangerous toxin that is widespread across the entire planet, as well as the simple 60-second habit you can do right now to flush this toxin out of your body and reverse your diabetes in just 3 weeks' time. The truth? Insulin resistance is reversible. Type 2 diabetes is reversible. It is not a life sentence. You see, after speaking to Kevin, I kept wondering, if medications, exercise, and carb restrictions had done nothing and would never do anything to help Kathy's diabetes, then what could help? If the top 3 things that doctors and the entire diabetes industry had told us would help did nothing for diabetes and its root cause, insulin resistance, then what would I do? Sadly, Kevin didn't have the answer, and I was close to giving up, and that's when I discovered something that chilled me to the bone. I'm embarrassed to share this with you, but I feel I have to. Using Kathy's laptop, one night I stumbled onto some of her Google searches. Best way to kill yourself, said one query. Painless suicide, said another. I had no idea Kathy was feeling that low. I was desperate to help her, but I didn't know how. The future looked bleak. But that very night, I received a phone call that would change everything. Not that I knew it at the time. I've always believed in God and prayed to Him practically every night for weeks, asking Him to help Kathy, and I firmly believe that what happened next is proof that He was listening. That call came from my boss. I had gotten an offer earlier that week for a big project over in Greece. They were building a new power plant not far from Tolmeda. That was a huge deal and would provide power for most of the eastern part of the country. They needed an experienced man as a project supervisor, and with my experience, I was one of the top candidates. Given Kathy's condition and state of mind, the timing couldn't have been worse, or so I thought. But unable to do anything about it, I set off for Greece, leaving Kathy's sister in charge of her safety. I hated leaving her, but as it turned out, the men I would meet on that job would provide the answers to my prayers. And in the strangest of ways, right after my long flight, I'm introduced to the team of guys I was supervising, a group of 19 men from all over Greece. Among those was Alexander Duka and 7 other guys who came to work on the project from their home on a tiny Greek island called Halkai. Ever heard of it? Yeah, me neither. It was a total population of 487, or about 479 since Alex and his guys came to work with me. As the weeks went on, I came to realize these 8 guys who were all in their mid-50s didn't have diabetes or even a single symptom of it. They were slim, healthy, and full of energy. Back home, I didn't know of one person over 50 who didn't have diabetes, let alone 8 of them. So that night, I took Alex to one side and told him all about my wife's conditions, her suicidal thoughts, and that she didn't have long until she might face another coma. If you know anything that can help her, please tell me, I pleaded. Alex smiled, patted me on the shoulder, and told me to wait where I was. A few minutes later, he returned with a notepad and a pencil and began to scribble down what looked like a recipe, complete with a list of strange foods, most of which I'd never even heard of. What's this? I asked, looking down at the list. The secret you've been searching for, he said with a glint in his eye. Our health is all down to the food we eat. He continued mysteriously. Diabetes simply doesn't exist on our island. This recipe has been in my family for generations, he said. Eat these foods and your wife will recover. With that, Alex stood up, gave me a knowing smile, and got back to work. Only then did I remember that Alex and his friends always made those homemade dressings with their lunch and dinner, sometimes even as a snack. They'd put them on salads, meats, veggies, and even just dip pita breads in them. The minute I returned home to the US, I began researching the ingredients from Alex's recipe. The first one was something called kohlrabi. What the heck was that, I thought? But according to several studies, kohlrabi, which is a type of vegetable similar to a cabbage, was abundant in two nutrients, sulforaphane and glucophane. Turns out both nutrients protect and repair lung epithelial cells against oxidative damage caused by tiny ambient air particulate matter and help detoxify and repair the body. Now stay with me here because this is where it gets very interesting. Particulate matter, also known as PM 2.5, is a complex mixture of extremely small particles and liquid droplets. They are emitted by fuel burning and various industrial sources, but then get into the air and are inhaled. It's pretty scary, right? They are tiny, invisible, and they have a diameter of less than 2.5 micrometers, which is about 3% the diameter of a human hair. Scientists are just beginning to understand what exactly makes PM 2.5 so harmful. But a major reason is that it's so small and contains toxic metals. Its size allows it to penetrate the lungs and enter the bloodstream. I wasn't sure what that had to do with diabetes until I began to search deeper and struck gold. A study of 3,080 participants with an average age of 56, published only 2 years ago by the American Diabetes Association, with barely a single view, concluded these results show the associations between long-term exposure to PM 2.5 and biomarkers related to insulin resistance. And scarily, they found the prevalence of hypertension, myocardial infarction, stroke, and medication intake were higher in those exposed to PM 2.5. Another buried study published in the National Institute of Environmental Health Science, headed by Timothy O2 PhD, had gone one step further and tested PM 2.5 exposure on mice. They shockingly found that by reducing the exposure to PM 2.5, insulin resistance was easily reduced. Then I found another study that made everything crystal clear. A study by a team from Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis and the Veterans Affairs St. Louis healthcare system linked PM 2.5 pollution, even at levels deemed safe, to an increased risk of diabetes globally. Publishing their findings in Lancet Planetary Health, they not only concluded a definite association between PM 2.5 and diabetes, they flat out said that last year alone, all 3.2 million new cases of diabetes were due to dangerous air pollution. Dr. Zayed Al-Ali, the study's senior author and assistant professor of medicine at Washington University, went on to say, "Our research shows a significant link between PM 2.5 air pollution and diabetes globally. We found an increased risk, even at low levels of air pollution currently considered safe by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, and the World Health Organization, WHO. This is important because many industry lobbying groups argue that current levels are too stringent and should be relaxed. Evidence shows that current levels are still not sufficiently safe and need to be tightened." Incredible. I wondered what the air quality was like for us in New York. If we could just move elsewhere to escape the PM 2.5. I did a search and found a map created with data from the Environmental Performance Index, showing the PM 2.5 levels across the US. Wow, is that a scary picture? Nowhere seems to be safe. There's not a green spot to be seen on the map anywhere. And my home in New York is an orange spot, surrounded by a good bit of red. In fact, every corner of Earth is now covered in PM 2.5 pollution. It is inescapable. You see, this is the real cause of your diabetes, your insulin resistance. We know it's not because of your diet or how much exercise you do, nor your age, nor genetics. Your health has been deteriorating because of the invisible PM 2.5, which has been seeping into your bloodstream for decades, causing havoc in every cell of your body. Simply put, your body is treating these dangerous particles as foreign and sends immune cells to the evading tissues, causing inflammation. Scientists now fully believe that this cell inflammation caused by PM 2.5 is what leads to insulin resistance. Worse still, scientific studies have linked increases in daily PM 2.5 exposure with increased heart attacks, as well as respiratory and cardiovascular disease. Remember this graph. We see diabetes started around the 1940s. Now look at this graph of PM 2.5 levels over time. Look familiar? Notice the rapid incline at 1940 matches exactly when diabetes spiraled out of control. Yeah, it really was making sense now, and guess what? While the level of pollution in Greece was one of the highest in the world, far higher than the US, I found out that they actually had one of the lowest levels of diabetes. It must be because of these traditional dressings and the ingredients that make them up. It would explain why Alex and his guys, who even though they worked in grease at power plants their whole lives, never got diabetes or exhibited any sign of it. As I finished reading, I felt like I wanted to cry. Not because I was sad, but because for the first time in years, I felt hope that I could actually help my wife and help us get our life and our relationship back on track. But don't go out and order an overseas delivery of kohlrabi just yet, because that's not even half the story, and not enough on its own to win the war against PM 2.5 damage and unshackle you from diabetes. You see, second on Alex's list of type 2 diabetes reversers was marjoram, which the Greeks eat in abundance. That was just a simple spice used to flavor the dressing, but was actually packed full of a nutrient called beta-carotene. Again, I discovered this nutrient would fight the effects of airborne toxins on the lungs and body. It also improved digestive function and heart health. A study stated the next item, broccoli sprouts, caused rapid and sustainable detoxification of airborne pollutants. Plus, dietary supplementation with broccoli sprouts extract was highly effective in improving liver function through reduction of oxidative stress. And it didn't stop there. Alex's recipe included a range of Greek fruits, vegetables, herbs, berries, seeds, and other completely natural ingredients, including Grecian laurel leaves, jujubes, and bergamot oranges. Turned out, every single ingredient from the recipe were proven to repair rapidly the damage caused in our bodies by PM 2.5 pollution and prevent any further damage, amongst other health benefits. After researching the entire list, I discovered that together the recipe contained 8 essential antioxidants, clinically proven to rapidly improve insulin resistance, in turn reversing type 2 diabetes, and protect against devastating conditions such as heart disease, stroke, nerve pain, and more. I call them the Diabetes Reversing 8. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Here were completely natural ingredients that had been scientifically proven to reverse the root cause of diabetes, yet not a single doctor had ever told my wife anything about them. All they wanted to do was keep selling her expensive medications. I was now more determined than ever to not only reverse Kathy's diabetes, but help millions of others too, so no one would ever need to pop a single dangerous medication again. But there was a problem. Although finding the broccoli sprouts wasn't difficult, locating high-quality kohlrabi jujubes, which are a type of date, and even bergamot oranges was almost impossible. Naturally, most of them could only be found on the Greek islands, and there was no way I could get these foods shipped over every week. The costs would be enormous. I needed a plan B. I reasoned that if I could take Alex's original recipe, break it down, and then uncover some local foods which contain the same antioxidants in the exact same amounts, while applying modern science and technology to the new formulation, I would be able to create a recipe even more powerful than Alex's and give Kathy a real shot at reversing her diabetes. But of course, without any medical training or experience, needed help. And I got it in the form of Amanda Fearson, a dedicated, independent medical researcher with over 29 years experience. As it turned out, Amanda had a personal interest in what I was doing. Her own mother had diabetes and could barely walk anymore, and she was passionate about finding a treatment that could save her life. Amanda was one of those rare people who exuded charisma, warmth, and intelligence. When we first met, she greeted me with a warm hug and a big smile. "Your research is completely correct," she said. "We are all affected by PM 2.5 at different rates based on our body types. That's why some people get diabetes faster than others, and why you, Eric, are only pre-diabetic, whereas your wife is type 2. However, the human body has not evolved to synthesize its own detoxifying nutrients to clear out this new threat, the PM 2.5. It's only been around for the past 70 years or so, so the only way to get the 8 essential nutrients you have discovered, Eric, is through food." "I'd love to help," she said. So Amanda agreed to help research hundreds of different formulas which were tested ethically on mice and gauged what happened to their insulin resistance. It took 3 months, but eventually Amanda and I developed a series of all-American dressings that contained the exact same nutrients and vitamins found in Alex's recipe that if you consumed alone would have very little effect. But when combined together and eaten twice a day, would produce remarkable results. In fact, thanks to Amanda's expertise, these recipes were 4.4 times more powerful than the original recipe consumed by Alex and his family and his friends. Amanda stated, "This new breakthrough addresses the one true cause of insulin resistance, PM2.5. When you correct and flush out these toxins, you and your body can naturally restore itself, so you will effortlessly drop pounds of fat, your arteries will clear, and your blood sugar will stabilize, and your insulin resistance reduces. Nothing like this has ever been attempted before in history of diabetes, and I literally couldn't wait to get started." And the best part was, because these unique recipes were completely natural, instead of a drug, we didn't have to submit our treatment to the FDA and potentially wait years for approval. Instead, we just needed one willing patient to put the protocol to the test. And of course, that patient was Kathy. The next morning, I visited our local grocery store to pick up all the ingredients we needed. I stocked up on test strips to help monitor her blood sugar along the way. Honestly, Kathy looked at me like I was crazy the first time I gave her the dressings to eat with her lunch and dinner. They took 60 seconds to create, but I still remember how she held her nose and steeled herself for the awful taste she expected, and the smile that spread across her face as she said it tasted great. Still, I had to beg her to keep eating them every day. She thought it was just another waste of time. After 7 days of following the recipes, there was little change. She lost a couple of pounds within the first few days, but we thought nothing of it. Until later that evening when something remarkable happened. We just finished dinner and I handed Kathy the bowl to grab a second portion of food, a habit we'd gotten used to since she gained the weight. "No, I'm fine, thanks. I'm full," she said. "What?" I hadn't heard that in 5 years. We both looked at each other in shock and burst out laughing, and each day following was like a dream. Her blood sugar readings continued to fall from 400 to 315, then to 251, then to 197, and then to 143. But the best was yet to come. Day 21 was a sunny Sunday morning, and I'll remember it forever. I woke to the loudest scream I've ever heard. Terrified, I instinctively reached for my handgun in the nightstand, until the screams turned to laughter. I ran down the stairs where I saw Kathy standing in the kitchen staring at her glucose reading, tears rolling down her face. But this time they weren't tears of panic or fear, they were tears of happiness, of joy. In just 3 weeks she was at a healthy reading of 120. And that's not even the best part. Remember that weight gain and hunger is a symptom of insulin resistance. Well, since she had reversed her insulin resistance, her hunger vanished, and the weight dropped off her like butter in a microwave. Every day she was safely shedding pure belly fat, arm fat, chin fat. Her love handles disappeared. She had lost 56 pounds of weight, going from this to this slim and sexy lady today. She was so excited to show me her jeans falling off her hips in a way they hadn't in 25 years. Plus, she had so much more energy. She was sleeping better, and the aches and pains in her legs and feet were gradually disappearing with every day that passed. Even her hair seemed thicker, fuller, and shinier than it had. Her fears about falling into another coma, needing an amputation, or having a heart attack vanished. When we saw Dr. Grayson, he couldn't believe his eyes. He was speechless that she had achieved it all by herself, naturally and safely. And when he saw her glucose readings, he said she could finally come off her medications. That evening, we threw all of them in the trash. What a great feeling. It was like a time machine taking us back 5 years before this nightmare began. But the most amazing thing was watching Kathy's stomach, watching the belly fat she'd been fighting for years and years shrink away to nothing, until one day I came home and saw her walking around the house in a sports bra and shorts, her beautiful flat belly on display. I was a little afraid to touch her at first, afraid she'd tell me not to, but when I wrapped my arms around her, she melted, tilting her head so I could kiss her neck, and smiled at me and told me to meet her in the bedroom. It was the most amazing, passionate night of my life. As we lay there naked, cuddling and laughing, in love again, in a way we hadn't been in a long time. I had a huge smile across my face. I'd done it. I'd saved my wife. Kathy had broken free from the cycle of insulin resistance. She was back in control of her own blood sugar. Neither of us could believe it. After being told to prepare ourselves for Kathy to fall into a coma, or for her to even die, Kathy had reversed her diabetes, and it had taken just over 3 weeks. I was desperate to get the recipes out to as many people as possible, but Amanda warned me that one person wasn't proof that the formula worked. And she was right. It may have worked for Kathy, but would it work for everyone? I wanted to see if these recipes would work on people who were suffering the most, who had the most severe cases of type 2 diabetes. I had to know for sure. So I came up with a plan. I decided to post adverts online and in local newspapers, asking for volunteers who might be willing to put our diabetes reversing recipes to the test. They had to be type 2 diabetic, overweight, and unable to lose weight no matter their diet or how much they exercised, tired, hungry, and experiencing many of the typical diabetic symptoms. After just 6 days, we had 96 people suffering from varying degrees of type 2 diabetes who would test the protocols. The results were way more incredible than any of us could have imagined. Without exception, and within a maximum of 32 days, all 96 volunteers reported dramatic improvements in their blood sugar. Better still, the average weight loss was about 26 pounds. Energy levels soared. Any risks of heart attacks, amputations, or strokes were completely eliminated. Blood pressure normalized. Brain fog was lifted. Aches and pains subsided. A total of 97% of participants went on to reverse their diabetes. The other 3% fell just short, but were no less overjoyed at the weight loss and health benefits they'd achieved. I received emails, phone calls, and text messages from people overwhelmed by the changes and desperate to thank me. Nicholas Green, one of our test subjects, a 46-year-old butcher from Grenada, Missouri, lost 1 pound of fat overnight after starting the program, and another 32 pounds within the following weeks. He went from this to this. It was clear my medications weren't working. After 7 years on them, I had gained over 40 pounds. And when I saw your message, I knew that this was my ticket out of this death trap. My leg swelling has now disappeared. I feel more energetic, mobile, and my joint pain has gone. I'm still dropping weight to this day because of these dressings. Thank you, Eric and Amanda. Ray C. Varela, a 44-year-old notary from Tacoma, Washington, lost 18 pounds going from this to this. I felt so guilty when I heard I had diabetes 10 years ago, she said. I was afraid I'd never have kids or I'd give it to them. I felt guilty that it was my fault somehow. So I'm glad to hear it's not my fault. Ray has since reversed her type 2 diabetes, boosted her energy, and rekindled the romance in her marriage. That was it. We developed a natural, clinically proven treatment for reversing even the worst cases of type 2 diabetes. After seeing the effect that diabetes had on my own wife, I made it my mission to ensure that no one else ever has to suffer like she did. This protocol works, and I'm excited to say that the obscene statistics about diabetes are about to change forever. Remember, due to the toxic environment we now live in, our cells are being relentlessly attacked by damaging and poisonous airborne toxins on a daily basis. This happens no matter where you live on Earth. It is unavoidable. As a result, they predict that nearly 1/3 of all American adults will be diabetic by 2050. Today, things are finally about to change. With Amanda Fearson's help, I've created a clinically proven and all-natural protocol that will allow you to finally reverse your diabetes and take back control, with no medications, exercises, or dieting, and do it within the next few weeks. And I've called it the Halki Diabetes Remedy. This program is designed for any type 2 diabetic, pre-diabetic, or anyone who struggles with weight loss, especially those over 35. It's so easy to follow, a child could. Yet, it's more powerful than any medication on this planet. Here we are, ready for you to finally get the flat belly and slim body you've been dreaming of and which you deserve, to free yourself from the clutches of diabetes. So what exactly are you going to get at the Halki Diabetes Remedy? You'll get your hands on the Halki Diabetes Remedy Fast Start Guide, where you will find everything you need to know to reverse diabetes. The truth about PM 2.5 pollution, the real cause of diabetes, the ancient Halki island foods that inspired my research, and the secret behind their extraordinary detoxifying powers. Why diabetes medications are nothing but a band-aid for diabetes and will not do anything to reverse it, and actually just make it worse. The identity of the diabetes reversing aid, the 8 powerful antioxidants and vitamins proven in clinical studies to reverse PM 2.5 damage, plus all the inexpensive, simple, and natural foods that contain these 8 powerful nutrients. I'll even reveal the identity of my #1 detox tea, which boosts the power of the foods. But that's not even the best part. I'm also going to give you the 21-day protocol. Inside, you'll find 42 dressing recipes formulated by Amanda Fearson that contain these 8 nutrients, along with instructions and nutritional information. You'll also learn the exact ratio of ingredients and the specific amounts required to make up these recipes, to turn your body into a detoxifying, fat-burning machine. But we didn't stop there. To make things as easy as possible for you, you'll also get a 3-week protocol to follow, telling you exactly what dressings to eat each day and when for maximum results. The exact same protocol that had huge success in our patient trials. And the delicious twist is that these ingredients are not only incredible for your diabetes, but beneficial for your brain, heart, waistline, energy levels, and much more. They'll also be improving your overall health at the same time. All you need to do is to follow the protocol and eat the dressings twice a day as instructed to achieve the same dramatic improvements in your diabetes that Kathy and thousands of others have achieved. And the best part is, there's no need to completely change your diet and starve yourself to death. All you need to do is simply add these dressings to your existing lunch and dinner, and each and every ingredient can be picked up for almost just a few pennies from your local grocery store. They take only 60 seconds to make. It really is that simple. And you can get access to everything in the next 90 seconds. Remember, this is not a fad diet or some silly cleanse. We know those don't work. This is a clinically proven solution that targets the root cause of your diabetes. This isn't some band-aid that focuses on symptoms. We're going to hit the real reason you have insulin resistance at the source. This completely natural protocol has already transformed the waist size, energy, and lives of 33,405 people. And you will achieve the same spectacular results too. Can you feel that? Your heart beating, the dryness in your mouth, to know that you can do this. You have the power. Let me ask you, how much is it worth to you to never have to do another finger prick again? How much is it worth to you to have your friends jealous of the amazing changes you've made to your body, begging you for your secrets? How much is it worth to never feel like you have to deprive yourself or diet again, or to burden your family with worry about your health? Imagine that for a second. Really, let yourself feel what that would feel like. And then tell me, how much would that be worth? Remember, a diabetic will spend $283,000 over their lifetime to manage the disease. Not reverse it, just to manage it. And over that time, these medications will wreck your heart, liver, and pancreas, increasing your risk of fatal heart attacks and strokes, not to mention amputations. This is the very real and frankly terrifying future that you could be faced with if you decide to do nothing and leave your diabetes in the hands of Big Pharma, who simply want to make as much money out of you as they can. So let me ask you again, how much would you pay for a chance to reverse your diabetes? $10,000? $5,000? There's one undeniable fact I've learned again and again, that even when you want something so much and know it's a once-in-a-lifetime deal, as a man or woman who spent so much of your life giving and giving to others, sometimes it feels impossible to be selfish and give yourself what you so desperately need, which is why I'm going to do something that's kind of risky here. And although Amanda Fearson recommended I sell this program for $997, and my own wife Kathy suggested $197, and although it's already helped over 33,000 men and women who would happily pay triple that amount after seeing the results for themselves, this isn't about the money for me. I know what it feels like to watch someone you love lose their health. I know the fear, pain, and helplessness of watching your loved ones suffer and not being able to do anything to help them. I don't want this to happen to you too. I feel blessed to have found this amazing program, and now I want to share it with you. So I'm not going to ask for $197, or even half of that, or even a quarter for that matter, because the truth is, all I'm trying to do here is cover my costs and keep this website running for as long as I can, so as many people as possible can benefit. And the last thing I want is for price to be a factor in your decision. So if you click on the button below right now, you can pick up the complete Halki Diabetes Remedy for just $37. That's it, a one-time fee of $37, and this entire program is yours to keep forever. Do the right thing for yourself and your family and loved ones, and push that button below. Immediately after, you will have instant access to the entire Halki Diabetes Remedy and all the recipes, and the 21-day protocol. I hate to say this, the clock is ticking. You don't want to go through what Kathy went through. She got lucky that day. However, why would you risk it when the solution is right at your fingertips? Hit the button below right now and get instant access to this program. And if you're a little skeptical that this can work for you, I completely understand. After all, you've been lied to and manipulated your entire life into believing that medications are your only choice to reverse diabetes. Because of course, the $327 billion diabetes industry will never tell you that there's a quick, easy, and natural way to reverse your diabetes. Because nobody would ever need another medication or insulin shot again. So here's what I'm going to do. To prove to you that this protocol works and you have absolutely nothing to worry about, I'm going to give you a 60-day, risk-free, money-back guarantee if you don't experience a dramatic improvement in your diabetes, if you don't see the fat melt off you day by day, if you are not overflowing with energy and enthusiasm as your insulin resistance is reversed, or even if you change your mind for any reason at all, then all you have to do is email me at the address provided on the next page, and I will refund your entire investment with no questions asked and no hard feelings. Plus, if you do decide that it's not for you, I'll even let you keep the entire program, just to say thanks for giving it a try. I can't be fairer than that, right? But a risk-free guarantee isn't all you'll be getting. If you hit buy now below, in the next 60 minutes, I'm going to give you 3 fantastic bonuses for free as a big thank you for watching my video up to this point. Each bonus has been meticulously created by lead medical researcher Christopher Clements. The first bonus is called the Relaxed Mind Healthy Body Video Series. Why a video series? Because you've got the Halki Diabetes Remedy to read. I couldn't ask you to read anymore. Simply load up the video and watch. It couldn't be easier. Look, I've made it as easy as possible for you to get the results by adding simple side dressings to your regular diet, but I want to guarantee your success. And unfortunately, when you're stressed out and you're not mentally calm, it can even affect the power of the Halki Diabetes Remedy. In the video series, Christopher will reveal the #1 morning ritual you should adopt that will give you more energy, tranquility, and more focus each and every day. How to have more energy than you've ever dreamed without caffeine or other artificial stimulants. A fascinating technique in how to tap into your best self for ultimate performance in every facet of your life. And more, you'll be well prepared, calm, and confident, ready for the Halki Diabetes Remedy. You'll feel relaxed, well rested, and ready to go. We've included a cheat sheet, handy checklist, transcription, and mind map to give you an overview of everything covered inside the videos. The Relaxed Mind Healthy Body video series is worth $67 on its own, but we're including it absolutely free of charge when you choose to get the Halki Diabetes Remedy today. You've started the protocol, your mind is calm and healthy, but what about your energy? In bonus number 2, the Energy Multiplier video series, we address just that. This is another 10-part bite-sized video series written and narrated by researcher Christopher Clements. Again, it's easy to understand with actionable content. Inside this video, you'll discover the #1 simple change to wake up refreshed, become more productive instantly, and ultimately be a super version of yourself. The power of an odd nutrient to stimulate energy levels and the supplements that will help you get more energy naturally. The key to waking up full of energy each and every morning so you can tackle the day and get everything done, and much more. Again, this video series comes with a cheat sheet, mind map, and transcription. It's the perfect way to ensure that you remain committed to the Halki Diabetes Remedy. This video series bonus is worth $74.95 on its own, but we're including it absolutely free of charge. The last bonus is the final piece of the puzzle. We call it Achieve Your Goals video series. Are you ready to start living the life of your dreams? Don't you want to avoid being like the vast majority of people, having hundreds of projects started and never completed? Sadly, the Halki Diabetes Remedy is included in that list of things some people never get around to actually finishing. In this bonus, Christopher will reveal all the little known tricks and tips to make sure you succeed not only with the Halki Diabetes Remedy, but every single goal and dream you have or ever will have. Again, this amazing video series comes with a cheat sheet, mind map, and written guide and transcription. If you truly want to succeed with the Halki Diabetes Remedy, then you need this bonus. This video series bonus would be snatched up at $87 if sold separately, but I'm giving it to you today as a free gift and my way of saying thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation. So you're getting the Halki Diabetes Remedy valued at $197, the Relaxed Mind Healthy Body video series at a $67 value, the Energy Multiplier video series worth $74.95, plus the Achieve Your Goals video series at $87 value, all for the one low time fee of just $37. And all you have to do to claim your discount and take advantage of this amazing deal is to click the big button below right now. Then fill in your payment details using a credit card, debit card, or PayPal on the next page. And you'll have complete access to the entire program in just 2 short minutes from now. Just click the button below right now. Use the material. It's so easy to use and as close to done for you as humanly possible. And then see for yourself how easy getting a taut, firm, flat belly and watching the pounds fall off your body can actually be. How easy it is to reverse the insulin resistance and feel electric with newfound energy. And remember, your order is 100% protected by my 60-day money-back guarantee. Okay, it's time to take action. You might not know it, but you're at an important crossroads in your life right now. And you really just have two options, leading to two very different lives. One, a lifetime of energy and hope and passion for life, where you love your body and are amazed every time you look in the mirror, where you are no longer shackled to diabetes, the medications, the finger pricks, the test strips. The other? Well, the other is just a continuation of the life you have now. So listen closely as I tell you what your two options are so you can make the right choice for you. Option number one, you can choose to do exactly what the mainstream healthcare system wants you to do and carry on taking your meds. Remember, by doing this, you'll never be free from drugs. Diabetes medication was never designed to cure you. It was designed to manage your condition so that you'll remain trapped on the medication merry-go-round until the day you die. That's the way the big pharma-backed diabetes treatment system works. It locks you into a lifetime of drug dependency. I think you already know what will happen if you do take this option because you've felt it so many times before. That feeling of helplessness, of being trapped in your own body, of feeling yourself getting heavier and more exhausted and more fed up with your struggle, with your weight, and with your body every single day, wondering why it's so hard for you to get in shape and stay in shape, or feeling guilty because you aren't spending hours and hours at the gym every week pedaling as fast as you can but not getting anywhere at all. I know you don't want that. And remember, the average diabetic will spend $283,000 to treat the disease and its complications during the course of their lifetime. That's the financial cost of doing nothing. The human cost is far greater. I'm talking about coma, heart attack, stroke, nerve damage, kidney failure, cutting your life short by years, even decades. Is that really a risk you want to take and save $37? Truth is, I know you are sick of seeing that ugly belly fat staring at you every time you look in the mirror, or pretending it doesn't bother you and that you're okay with the body you have right now. Of yearning to know what it's like to have power and control and energy like you did when you were a kid, which is why I want you to take a second here and seriously consider taking option number two. And let's face it, it's the only option you have. Investing a tiny one-time payment in Halki Diabetes Remedy today so you can put my program to the test completely risk-free for a full 60 days. And just imagine the difference this could make to your life. No more fear of a fatal diabetic coma. No more fear of forgetting to take your meds. No more fear of the inevitable worsening of your diabetes over time. No more finger pricks or test strips. No more injections. No more having to deny yourself the foods you love. In a lot of ways, it's the easier road because all it takes on your part is deciding you love yourself enough to say yes right now. Simply click the button below. Enter your payment information right now before life gets in the way and claim your spot in the Halki Diabetes Remedy. Get every single thing I've talked about in this video and quite a few surprises I haven't even mentioned, but I can't wait for you to see. Learn the simple, tested method that saved my beautiful wife Kathy from type 2 diabetes and an early grave. Learn the secret to a flat belly and a fit, healthy body that has been kept from you for so long. And imagine for a moment how that would feel. The feeling that you have when the weight is dropping off and you can fit into the jeans you haven't fitted into for the past decade. Watching your blood sugar readings drop day by day. That feeling when your wife or husband looks at you with lust, with desire again, just as they used to in the past. That feeling when your doctor says you are now diabetes free and can throw your meds in the trash. Imagine yourself rolling out of bed, feeling light and strong for the first time in your life. Your belly will be flat and your joints will feel as if they have been freshly lubricated. You'll look and feel younger than ever before, and you will find yourself moving with the vigor and strength of a person half your age. You will cut your risk of heart disease and your sex drive will return as your hormones come back into balance, which will mean you're able to spend quality time with your children and watch your grandchildren grow up, get married, and have kids of their own. More than 33,000 Americans have reversed their type 2 diabetes in just a few weeks. This is your chance to join them, but time is running out. So, make the right decision. Make the only decision you can make, both for yourself and your family. Hit the button below and put the Halki Diabetes Remedy to the test, completely risk-free for a full 60 days, and start enjoying your precious life the way it was meant to be enjoyed. Click on the order button below, and I'll see you on the other side. Still here? No problem. If you're still a little unsure about everything you've just seen, I completely understand. After all, I fully believe no doctor who wants to continue receiving a paycheck will ever tell you the truth about the real cause of diabetes, that medications do more harm than good, and that there are now clinically proven natural ingredients shown to improve and reverse diabetes once and for all. So, if you have any questions, here are some of the most common ones I get asked, which I hope will give you all the information you need to make an informed decision. How does this protocol work? To quickly explain, every single recipe found in this protocol consists of the diabetes reversing 8. That is, the perfect amounts and combinations of the 8 nutrients and vitamins shown to eliminate damaging PM2.5 toxins from your body and reduce insulin resistance. These recipes were inspired by a little tiny Greek island called Halki and their diet that protected them from diabetes and insulin resistance. And using this research, Amanda Fearson, an independent medical researcher, was able to develop a formula 4.4 times more powerful than the original recipe given to me by Alexander Dukas, one of the Halki inhabitants. So if you want a proven way to reverse your diabetes, these recipes are all you'll ever need. Eric, if this protocol is so good, why hasn't my doctor told me about it? Well, as I explained a little earlier, it's not in the diabetes industry's interest to publicize any of this research. After all, if people knew how to reverse insulin resistance through inexpensive and natural means, they wouldn't need any new medications, which would pretty much cripple the diabetes industry overnight. Remember, their business model relies on your diabetes and health getting worse year after year, and you getting fatter and fatter. And thanks to continued PM2.5 toxins attacking your cells and your use of medications, that's exactly what's been happening. The good news is, this protocol does the exact opposite. It helps reverse insulin resistance by giving your cells the essential 8 nutrients and vitamins they need to repair this damage. Will this work for me? Well, yes, absolutely. Of course, each individual case is different, but as you've seen throughout this presentation, this protocol is scientifically proven to reverse diabetes in even the worst cases. Plus, it's already worked for more than 33,000 people. But if by any chance it doesn't work for you, which is incredibly unlikely due to the huge amounts of clinical data and case studies that says it will, you're protected by my 60-day money-back guarantee. So you have absolutely nothing to lose, and you can even keep the program just to say thank you for giving it a try. That's how confident I am in the quality and effectiveness of the protocol. How long will it take to see results? During our study of 96 volunteers, 97% of the participants reversed their diabetes within weeks. And as you know, my own wife Kathy achieved the same exact feat. And as I said, everybody is different. Some people may take longer to respond to the protocol than others, but if you stick with it, I guarantee that you'll see dramatic improvements in your health. Will my details be secure? Yes. I can assure you that they will be. Our ordering system benefits from state-of-the-art encryption technology, so when you place your order with us, your information is 100% safe. So there's absolutely no need to worry. How long will the protocol be available for? In answer to that question, I honestly don't know. Of course, I want to keep the website running for as long as I can. The diabetes industry is a $327 billion market, and believe me, they're angry as hell that this video is online. They've already lost over 33,000 customers, and every minute it stays online, they're losing more. So I urge you to take this opportunity while you still can and order Halki Diabetes Remedy today before this presentation gets taken down for good. Go ahead and click on the order button below, fill in your details, and you'll be taken through to a private area where you'll be given access to the entire program, including your 3 free bonuses for a full 60 days, completely risk-free. This has been Eric Whitfield, and I look forward to hearing your success story very soon.